All right, this is That Exciting Dude, and you are listening to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. You know the drill. That's right, this is Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans, and this is a special episode because I am trying, well, actually, I think I did this once before. I am trying the good old video and podcasting at the same time. So you can catch me if you want to see this live action in person. Uh, yeah, on YouTube. So let's first get a little background here since I'm a little off on my background. I forgot what I was doing here for a minute. All right, so they're done over there. All right, anyone that's been here before, they know the drill. It's time for the podcast intro. First, we're going to start with a wise man once said, crying with the wise is better than laughing with the fool. That'd be Gautama Buddha. Alright, as I said, this is That Exciting Dude. Welcome to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. I am your captain speaking, Ted. You know the drill. Hit the foul button, the bell, the whistle, the raccoon, whatever it is for you, to hear more of this sexy voice. I'm on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Castbox, Apple Podchaser, and YouTube. Lastly, need to give thanks to Brock Hewitt, Stories and Sound, called Ages Ago, Hartsman's, which is called Paradise Island, Tropicana, and his sound bit is called Sound Roll, and lastly, Airplane Mode by Yokonap. Those are all from upbeat.com, UPPBAT.com. Alright, we have an exciting podcast. It's been a minute. Like I said, we're going to do every other week because I've got so many projects going on that we are going to. That's why, I'm going to be doing every other week. So I'm not stressing myself out. Alright, anyone that's been on this channel and knows the channel, knows the drill. When I say drink, that means I'm going to be drinking something. So go ahead and drink. I'll tell you my choices of drink. I have water and Canada Dry. Alright, those that are viewing me constantly see me pushing my earbuds in because this left one is getting loose all the time and I don't know why. And it's driving me nuts. Alright, so let me get the real notes up here. I'm not used to doing this with the video action, so we're giving this a whirl. Alright, this next part, not everyone enjoys it. I don't know if everyone really likes it, but it's sports time. Oh, and you know what with sports, what that means? This is why I was up a little bit, because it's time for sports. Sports. Sports is the next topic. What's next? It's sports. It's time for sports. Sports. Guess what? It's sports time. That's right, it is time for sports. If you don't like sports, you don't want to listen to sports, this is going to be kind of a long segment for sports. A lot has happened. I've tried not to cover everything over the last 2 weeks, but it's hard because so much has gone on. So much has gone on. First, we're going to wrap up my little petty Red Wings, and this is all I got to say about my Red Wings. They've had a lot of W's in the past 2 weeks. think I only saw like one L. Maybe there was two. But that's awesome. I'll take it. I'll take 8 L's or 8 W's and 2 L's out of the last 10 games. All right, on to football. Where do we begin other than old news is now the new news for the sports news for you? Something like that. All right. There's been lots of coaching changes, mostly in the NFL, but there's been a few in the college world. So we'll get the college out of the way. So Nick Saban, he's been at Alabama for a very long time. He finally said, "I'm retiring," which leads to the Washington coach who lost to U of M, which they won the championship game. The Washington coach is now taking Nick Saban's job at Alabama. So that is definitely big shoes to fill as the new Alabama head coach, taking after that huge legacy of work that Nick Saban did at Alabama. All right, now we're on to the NFL. Drink. So, NFL coaches. The Atlanta Falcons, the Tennessee Titans, and it's speculations on the Seattle Seahawks. All 3 of those coaches were fired after a poor season of not making the playoffs, or their team not making the playoffs the past few years. Bill Belichick, a very renowned coach in the NFL with the New England Patriots, has parted ways mutually with Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots. The Patriots have a new coach, and I forget his proper name, but we just all call him Mayonnaise. I should probably grab that. It probably should be a good idea. Let's see if we quickly get that up here before we get out of sports here. All right, Jerod Mayo is his name. Jerod Mayo is now the new coach of the New England Patriots. All right, so I know it's old news. Again, it's old news. I know this is old news. But it could be new news to somebody. Could be new sports news for somebody. I can't say new news. I can't copy the Kelsey brothers. I can't say new news. Because it's like when you say that, it's like you almost want to be like them and saying the new news in their little section that they do, new news. So that's why I got to switch it up and I got to say now it's new sports news for you. Okay. So the past weekend we had the wild card round games. It was Texas versus the Browns, and Texas won. Then we had the mighty Chiefs in a very negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit game at Arrowhead in Kansas City, and the Chiefs versus the Dolphins. The Chiefs won. Then we had a surprise shocker. We had Green Bay at Dallas, and Green Bay whooped their butt. They did. They really did. Then we had my beloved Lions. They played their hearts out at home at the Ford Field against the Rams. I could go into the history of just everything about this game, but I'm just going to say it came down to the wire. My Lions won 24-23. Then we had the Bills versus the Steelers up in a very snowy Buffalo New York, where they had like 4 feet of snow fall on them. And the Bills beat the Steelers. And then lastly, we had the Eagles down at Tampa Bay at the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Bucks. And this one, I think some people were kind of shocked by this one, but really looking at the last several games of the particular team that lost, it was only doomed to happen. And unfortunately, the Bucks did beat the Eagles. I don't say unfortunately because I wanted to. I just accidentally put that in there. Basically, the Bucks beat the Eagles, which is unfortunate because the Eagles were very awesome. But it's hard when like the last 7 games they were like 0-7. So there we have it. So now we're going to this weekend. So the new matchups for this weekend are as follows, and all times are in Eastern Standard Time. What network? You're gonna have to look that up. Saturday at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Texans versus the Ravens. I'm calling for an upset with the Texans over the Ravens. Then at 8:15 p.m. on Saturday, later that evening, we have the Packers versus the 49ers. I just have that ugly feeling the 49ers are going to prevail. I just do. Then we move on to Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We have my beloved Lions take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And of course, the Lions are gonna whoop on the Tampa Bay. And then at 6:30 p.m. later on the evening, again Eastern Standard Time, we have the Chiefs versus the Bills. I really don't know which way this is gonna go because both of these teams have had games that like they should have won, but they didn't. So only time will tell. And that is that. I gave you my predictions, so all we can do is see. I'll try to come back next week with maybe a small little clip. If not, we'll see in 2 weeks, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong. We'll see what teams are still in it. All right, so time for it's time for a drink. Double drink, that is. So, time for a segment A. Not that I have a B planned, but I got a freelanced in the mind ready to go for it. Okay, so I mean, who doesn't like cartoons? I mean, there's anime and then there's cartoons, and I'm not going to go into the difference, but I'm just going to say they are different. To a degree. They are the same, but they are different. Alright, so I saw a story that very intrigued me, and I kind of looked a little more into it, and I was kind of like, oh, hey, this is sweet. I think a lot of people might like this. So, it's Popeye the Sailor Man. Fact or fiction? Alright. So, to get this out of the way, when I was researching this, there's a lot of characters that are missing, but there's the grunt, there's like the core of Popeye the Sailor Man. Obviously, had to be some creativeness from the individual that created it, which Popeye was created by E.C. Segar, who created the whole Popeye cartoon. His full name is Elzie Chrysler Segar. And the man known as Popeye, his real name is Frank Rocky Feigl, aka Popeye, and he was not born in Chester, Illinois. I got that part right. I got that part wrong. So in Chester, Illinois, which is just south of St. Louis, Missouri, on the Mississippi River. So basically very south, almost very south Illinois. Rocky was born, aka Popeye. He was born January 27th, 1868, and he died on March 24th, 1947. Rocky, aka Popeye, was born in Poland, then he emigrated with his family to America in 1887, where he joined the Navy. Go figure. Popeye, Navy, Sailor Man. Okay, so when E.C. Segar met Frank, he was retired from the Navy and he was working in a Wybeck's tavern to maintain order and to clean it. And this is where his strength was introduced to Segar. He witnessed Frank in lots of fights. Being involved in so many fights, Popeye, or Frank, had a deformed eye, and hence leading to the pop eye, and he also spoke with one side of his mouth, if you get what I'm saying. So when Frank was with kids, which E.C. Segar was one of these kids, like he had a pipe in his mouth, then he was always telling this group of kids, which E.C. Segar was part of, he talked about how he had this great physical strength, how all the things that he did in the Navy, and he talked about eating cans of spinach where he got his strength from. Hence Popeye the Sailor Man, spinach. Yeah. See how this is all coming into play now. So even Wimpy was a real guy. His real name was J. William Schur. And this is where E.C. Segar learned, or E.C. Segar, he worked for Jay at Wimpy, which is a theater. And that theater is still around today, believe it or not. It's the Popeye Museum that has, a lot of memorabilia and Popeye spinach cans and so forth. And guess what? That's not all. But before we get there, we're going to take a drink. So, olive oil, which the last name is not oil like you think oil, like O-I-L, it's O-Y-L. His real name is Dora Pascal. And Dora ran a convenience store in Chester. And it turns out it was in the main district, like in the main part of town. And there wasn't too much on Olive. It talked about how she worked at this convenience store. E.C. Segar would run in here periodically at this convenience store that she ran. And then it kind of turns into how you can go to Chester, Illinois, and you can see the gravestones to Popeye. And it wasn't clear on when the gravestone was finally developed or brought to life, because the community had to pitch in with donations to make a gravestone for Olive, or Dora Pascal, because she came from a very poor family. So she didn't have a gravestone. But now she does have a gravestone, because when she passed away, like I said, Her family couldn't afford one, and she was alive from 1872 to 1953. But now there's a headstone. You can visit it, and it says olive oil. And just like portrayed in the cartoon, she was a very skinny. Um, and in real life, they were not married. She and Frank, aka Popeye, they were not married. I tried doing some digging into the other characters, and I really couldn't find much more. So I mean, obviously, there's got to be some parts that are made up. There's got to be, there's got to be a little um, ingenuity, thought process into it. But like I said, kind of like the core concept was from actual people. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. Basically, E.C. Segar published the first Popeye comic in the King feature comic strip January 17th, 1929. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of information. I mean, there was a lot of information, but it was all overlapping. It was all the same thing, just repeating and repeating and repeating. And after digging through several articles and different articles and YouTube videos, and just constantly the same thing repeating over, nothing new, no new information. Finally, just came to a conclusion that this is pretty much all we know. Probably the rest that or can get to know a lot more is go to Chester, Illinois to visit the Popeye Museum. So that's a wrap for Popeye the Sailor Man. And I hope you enjoyed that. I really do. I thought it was interesting. I can remember looking at the newspaper and, and looking at the Popeye cartoons. So, this next segment, I'm totally going to be freelancing it. And, but before we move on, I know on the podcast they automatically just create ads, so I'm just going to add this in here anyway. So like I said, I know ads are automatically created, but let's take a minute to remind you of what else is going on. As I said, my name is That Exciting Dude. You are listening to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. If you didn't catch that in the beginning, you can also catch me on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. And again, that's all, That Exciting Dude. Just look for the pink cat logo, and you'll find me. All right, so segment B. Oh, drink. There's some things going on. First we got to start with a little bit of my work history. And the work history begins, so I'm in the security world, and I first started in the contract world. And the first company that I started with, I thought was awesome. I thought they were great. They were good. They treated everyone with respect. But with working in contract security, you tend to see a lot of different companies, especially when you kind of move around a little bit more, which I did a little more than what I wanted to as far as job hopping. But it happened, nonetheless. And, but with that job hopping, like I said, you get to experience different cultures, how different places work, the politics of corporations, and just, how people are. And like I said, there's, I think, without saying any names, I think of like the five places that I was with between contract security. The first place where I started getting into security, then the last contract that I left to go to where I currently am security were the best. So like the first and the last, it's kind of like a book, you know. Boom, the cover was good, the ending was a good place as well, and so so getting to my current place of job, and an observance with the other places that I worked at is you see the culture of work. And something that I don't understand that happens in the workplace is the bashing that people do, the like the backstabbing, like I mean, I get it. You know, communication is always a problem, no matter where you go, and you know, and I get that. That is like always that. It's like the number one. Any company you go, you could be like, you know, what's our number one issue, and everyone, like, okay, maybe not everyone, but you know, about 90% of the room will say communication, 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 and no matter how well you get communication down, there's always going to be flaws in it. It's just the nature of the beast. Especially the bigger company, the more people, that's, you know, more people to unfortunately not spread information that's needed to get spread amongst the company. But the one thing that strikes me about all of the places, between the places that had awesome and good teamwork and the places that weren't the greatest in teamwork or communication, is like I said, it's that the culture of like backstabbing, getting onto people, like forcing people out, and it's just like it's taken me a while to realize, like, I mean, it really hasn't, but in a way, like, just being more methodical and not so calling the kettle black, like I like to do, because I'm a very blunt person. But like what I want to say is it doesn't matter where you are, you're seeing this problem, and like I said, it's the backstabbing, it's the people calling people talking behind people's backs, and it's just like, when are we as a society gonna figure out that we're all working for the same purpose? We're all working for a company or a position that you like. I mean, I'm not saying you like it every day, but you know what I mean. I mean, you like your job, you like what you do. I gotta get background music there. And drink, because I'm getting parched. You know, I mean, we all go to work to provide for our families. And it's like, you shouldn't have to go to work to go to battle. No one should have to go to work to battle. Why am I playing with my pen? Put the pen over here. I don't play with it. And it's like, there's so many of these jobs that I've witnessed where it's like people just go just to defend themselves to stay at work. And that's not what work's about. Work's an environment that it's like it should be a second family. And I don't understand why people, why as a culture we haven't just figured out we're all in it for the same thing, and that's called money and providing for our family. And it's just it's mind-boggling. So I kind of have like a little saying. Well, maybe someone's thought of the saying. Maybe it's been said before, maybe in a different format, different language, using different words. But basically, what a little saying that I kind of have come up with, or kind of, it's like lingered in the back of my head, is it's easy to be the devil towards nice, but it's hard to be nice to the devil. And I think you have to think about that statement, because it's about, like, no matter who is stabbing you in the back at work, it's like, you know what, maybe instead of the retaliation or the, okay, I'm just going to get this person back game, then before you know it, you're both fired. Let's try a different approach. Like, maybe just invite this person out to dinner and just be like, hey, I know we don't get along, or, like, be a man, be a woman about it. Let me get another sound going here. That was a good long one. Okay. The last two were shorties. But it's like, just confront the problem. Just get the demons out of the way. Like we get it. Okay, you know what? Maybe you're Susie Q and you're waiting on Bobby G, and Bobby G is taking way too long, and Susie Q doesn't have anything to work on because Bobby Q, he's still waiting on Adam over here. And it's like, rather than just bickering over who's supposed to be doing what and I can't do work because of X, Y, or Z, it's like, go and help that other group out, or okay, let's move on or try something different. It's like work with the problem rather than against the problem, because if you don't have a solution to the problem, then all you're going to do is create friction, and friction is not good. And like I said, bottom line is everyone's at work to make money for their families. And I don't know. There's a lot of things going on in the work society place today. Kind of referring to my work, but yeah, there's so many things that are going on that it's like just slow down. We are all supposed to be a team. Let's be here. Let's work together. Let's slow down and just smooth sail. There's no need for bumps. I mean, I get it. Every workplace, you're gonna have the people that just can't get along. Drink. It's like society. There's some people that are just stuck in jail, not because they want to be in jail, or they're just, their head's not right, and they constantly make bad choices. And I get it. Society is the same with people at the workplace. And I know it's a little hypocritical, but I think you can work with everybody to a degree. But you can always find common ground. I mean, unfortunately, in the workplace, you have people with higher power that just have ego problems, and you just like I said, sometimes you just got to be the man, or the woman, or just, you just got to be like, hey, let's cut this bullshit. Let's, cut our dagger and bang in the back. Let's work with each other rather than against each other. And I think it's something, just a different approach that I think people just need to take in the workplace. I mean, because getting someone fired is not an exciting, thrill-seeking adventure by any means. I mean, no one likes that at all. And I think it's just, like I said, I think it's just something that people need to be reminded of in the workplace. Whether you listening is the problem, or is part of the problem, or you're part of the solution. I mean, the bottom line is it's like, let's go to work tomorrow, or right now, or wherever you are, the next day, wherever you're listening to this. Let's go to work with a new frame, The new year just started. Like I said, make friends with all those people that you tend to not like at work. Try a different approach to things rather than keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, because clearly it's not working. Um, and I get it. There's some tough people that are out there. They're just tough nails, and you can either be the better person and just slightly bend to them. I'm not saying you got to bend over to them to make this things so much calmer in the workplace. There's always going to be the butting heads, but it's just how you professionally butt heads and you move on and you get over the hump and you go forward. That's what it's about. There was a lot of rambling. I know there's a lot of rambling going on in this episode. Like I said, segment B was not planned. It was all just boom from the head. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Drink. Yeah, I don't think I have anything more that I can add other than have a good rest of the evening, day, night, morning, day, afternoon, midday, midnight, night. Yeah. All right, you just got done listening to That Exciting Dude and Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans was the podcast. And I'll see you next week. You know the drill. Yeah.